In this video, I would like to show you and review with you. You've already been taught how to write a counterclaim in class, but I wanted to just use this video as an opportunity to kind of review with you how you write a counterclaim, because you're going to have one in your thesis paper. So when it comes time for you to write your introduction for your civil rights essay, you're going to have a counterclaim in your introduction. So we need to kind of review really quickly how we write that. You're going to need to get out your orange, bright neon orange paper from your home instruction kit, and definitely use that when you decide to write your counterclaim. I'm going to use the March on Washington, Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X, as an example for my counterclaim today, because one, you just got done reading about those two, and also because writing a counterclaim that has two different viewpoints is important, and I feel like this is a great example for me to use since both of them clearly have different viewpoints. So this will be a really easy example for me to use to help you review how to write a counterclaim. Remember, you can't write a counterclaim unless you have somebody disagreeing with you. You have to have the opposing side to something, or you can't write one. So make sure when you go to write this that you are thinking about the other side to something that you believe in. Okay, so you're definitely going to be using the bottom section of the orange. This is the area where you can find all the starters. Okay, so bring your attention to that, please. Some of the starters are basically like a fill in the blank. This is where you're going to put the opposing side. Remember, we talked about this in class. The person who you are going against gets to go first. You're going to kill them with kindness, if you will. You're going to say, listen, I hear what you're saying, and I see your viewpoint about the blah, blah, blah. Then you say whatever it is. But you always then have to turn them back to your side, and that is going to be the second blank. You bring them back to what you believe in, but you always bring up their side first, okay? All right, so let's take a look at one that I wrote for Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. So in yellow, I put my starter, okay? The starters are these things right here that are already written for you. I used, there are those who believe. So if you go over here, there it is. It looks like I'm using number 3. There are those who believe. So in yellow, you can see my starter. There are those who believe. Now, this right here, I'm going to use red. This right here is the opposing side. So that means that I am on Malcolm's side. I can see that Malcolm, I'm going to use blue. I see that Malcolm is last. That means I must have made the claim that Malcolm X viewpoint on the March on Washington is correct. You know, I believe that Malcolm X had great points that he brought up. So because I believe on Malcolm X's side, I have to put the opposite side first, which is MLK's peaceful demonstration. So I said, there are those who believe that the nation holds the March on Washington as one of the most effective days in America because it established a new law. Okay. That was a very big point that was brought up in your article. Passage number 1 talked about that in great length. If you look at that passage, this whole paper right here, this whole page from passage number 1 about the March on Washington, it's all about the new law, the Civil Rights Act. It was passed. I mean, that is a very, very good, that's a great piece of evidence to use for the opposing side. So obviously you can see that I used that fact that it was a new law was established, and that's why the March on Washington was so great. I get that. See how I'm hearing the other side? I'm acknowledging that the March on Washington was effective because it established a new law. This piece of evidence came straight from the article. Please notice that I was not making up anything. This evidence came straight from the article. So when you write your counterclaim, you need to have a piece of evidence on both sides. So you need to have a piece of evidence right here, and then on both sides equally, right? Another piece of evidence on the other side. Both of these pieces of evidence, whatever you put in these little blank lines, needs to come straight from the article, as mine did. The fact that a new law, the Civil Rights Act, the fact that it was created, it came from this article. I want to see the word because in your counterclaim. The counterclaim should be long. If your counterclaim is short, you've done something wrong. A counterclaim is a very long sentence or two because you are citing evidence within it. Okay, so let's see how I brought you to the other side. So if I look at number 3, the next part is, while that might seem true, okay, so I'm done with this. Sorry, I'm going to get rid of this picture here. Let's see how I brought it to the other side. So I see my starter. Well, that might seem true. Okay, good. Let's see what evidence I picked. Malcolm X believes it was a Hollywood show and completely fake. And it was because it was completely fake. Sorry, that word should be there. Because it was completely fake. Okay, so that I should be able to find that evidence in the article. If I get out my passage 2 article, clearly Malcolm X down at the very, very bottom of page 1 says that Hollywood couldn't have topped this. So my evidence coming through, using that article, I used that in my actual counterclaim. So sorry, I used that in my counterclaim. So right here you can see Malcolm X believes it was a Hollywood show because, sorry, I need my word because it was completely fake. All right, so I feel like hopefully this has kind of helped show you and reviewed with you how to write a counterclaim. I think it's very, very important that you understand that a piece of evidence has to come from the article on both sides of the counterclaim, showing both viewpoints. You can see the word because is going to be used in the counterclaim, and that reason needs to come from the article. It needs to be specific evidence used in each counterclaim. All right. So writing a counterclaim will be done in the introduction of your paragraph, and you can look at my exemplar for an introduction if you would like to see another example of a counterclaim. Okay? All right, guys, I hope that helped to review counterclaims, and I hope everybody is healthy and doing well, and I just wanted to say hi, and I miss you guys, and we'll hopefully be back in the classroom soon. Bye.